It is Monday. Time to dig into the data. What worked, what missed, and where do we go next? Wesley and I, Jay Silva, Wesley Rosenberg, we are going to dig in and see and talk about our highlights and wins, what underperformed and why, some themes, and how did we do last week? Wesley, real quick, did you win last week?
I'm going to say no. And the reason why I say that is because, we have a couple different divisions and some didn't do as well. So they failed. Others did well and carried the company.
Right.
Yeah. But my focus right now is on these departments that aren't doing as well. So with my focus, no, we didn't do well last week because of the numbers and that we were short in sales. I had one division that was down 7,000 from last year this time. And I had another that was $3,500 down. I don't like that. Other departments have won, and like I said, they carry the load. The only hurt in that whole thing is that you necessarily don't keep your profit when you have a couple divisions and you have one that's failing because they're taking your profit to stay afloat. So I don't really like that. So I like to say I lost because I didn't make the profit I'd like to because of some failing division, or not failing, but divisions that didn't make their goal. And in other divisions, like I said, other divisions did. So at the end of the day, I feel that we lost.
That's a bummer, but I assume you have, the reason and you know what you're going to do to pivot. What
Oh,
you
yeah.
cooking?
So one area we've talked about in past podcasts, we sat down and we looked at our pricing. We broke it all down again and again and figured out different ways on how we can lower our prices to be a little more competitive against that tough one that we're getting quotes against. Another thing too is I put together a couple local campaigns that we're going to try to implement. That meeting's next after this one. And then one department, I know it sounds kind of painful, but I brought someone in the office from the field to bid work. And no, they're not making money. They're a non-biller now. They're not on the field billing, but they're to generate more work for us by bidding jobs. And I want to what happened is we started as a service residential company. And you know what? There wasn't many out there. It was kind of a niche thing. You think that all plumbers do service. Not all plumbers do service. So, and we were getting along just fine. Well, I think that we've captured a lot of the service in my community. I don't know if it can be broke down anymore and we can capture more. But I think that we got a good hold of a lot of it. So what got us here is not going to get us there. So why I brought this guy in was kind of also change the direction of a division, because we're going to have to start doing more commercial jobs and not just depend on service. And so that's another area we're going in one division. My electrical division, we are starting to offer some niche things like a lot of companies don't do solar heating, solar electrical. We're going that direction with solar and generators for like power outages, where we become dealers for that. That also gives us backlinks to the dealer's web page and things like that, and brings us more to the forefront when those kind of requests are asked, that we'll be able to tap into some of those things. So that's something I'm doing in another division. Another division that we did, a remodeling division, I restructured. I had a guy that just wasn't producing, and we didn't fire him. He's a good tradesman. It's just organizational skills are a little screwed up with this guy, and he's supposed to be a lead. So we're going with this gentleman has a skill set, but he also has some weaknesses. So we wanted to leverage his skills against his weaknesses and kind of change his workload so he was more successful. So he's really good at a lot of things, but he's not good with time management of a big job or pushing other people. So we've taken that guy out of a lead position and made him like a universal player to just take care of like punch lists. Okay, this door has to be reset, or we want to just put in a door. That's a small little job, couple hour job, or we want to replace this window, things like that, or just small little jobs where he can manage his time within a 5 to 8 hour day, and 5 or 8 hour projects, no more than that. Lots of times we like to have 2 or 3 hour projects for the guy. So, and I've seen we've already seen some success from him in that department, changing some things around. So there was a little restructuring in that department. Every department, I did a little something different, and it was because of the need of that department, what they needed. So I've seen some, yeah.
I have a question from past episodes, right? Where you say, hey, my life is good now, Jay, because I'm only doing things for 2-3 hours a day. All right, like at work.
Me personally.
You personally, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
So when you are telling us that story, that sounds like very involved. Like it really feels like you're spending more than that amount of time.
I know what you're saying, but what I've been doing is looking at the numbers, and then I come up with, and I look at them, they read and they tell me things. And you know what's really kind of funny? When you guys first taught me this concept, I was like, how do you read a number? What the hell does that tell me? Where does that take me in my mindset? Okay, what does $37,000 tell me about this? And it made me have to it was a learning process. So anyways, so I take a couple minutes and I'm depending on my managers to fulfill my requests. So it was a matter of a conversation with the guy. I just went up to the manager. I said, hey, something went different last month. You guys were a little more profitable than most of the time. You know what you did? And he goes, yeah. I said, what did you do? And he told me. I said, do you think it's working? He goes, yeah. I said, well, let's keep doing that because you've just made a change in your department that's shown benefit, and that's what we needed. So good stuff. Keep it up, and let's try to keep this guy in that lane, because he was bringing down the profit margin for the company. And it's really funny. I just want to say something about one guy can't be bringing down that much profit margin. I've had it now on 3 different occasions where I had let go of someone because they weren't working out, and the numbers for that department swung $40,000 in a month. So it is a big deal. You got to be able to
say that again.
Okay, I was looking at numbers, and the numbers weren't working out and we tried to make some resolutions. Resolutions didn't work, so we ended up getting rid of that employee. And just getting rid of that employee, the numbers swung from that in that department for that month, $40,000. Because now jobs were getting done that we could bill out at the end of the month. If you don't get the job done, you can't bill it out. So it doesn't go on the profit and loss statement for that month. So now jobs were getting more completed, which showed up on the board. They weren't losing money on the original hours that they had on that job to do. So there was another plus where we were saving dollars. And screw off time, the guy just not doing the work. There was money there as well. that was captured. And I've actually seen it now 3 times in my career where we let go of someone and the numbers swung $40,000 in a month.
And that goes to your point was, well, you love to say that, right? Hire slow, fire fast, or something like that.
Yeah, right. But you know what? It's hard sometimes to be patient and disciplined enough to exercise my saying, but that's what we should be doing.
Okay. So it looks like you're leaning the hardest right now in really pivoting quickly, identifying these opportunities, right? When you look at the numbers, continuing to use the shortest amount of time to get to the decision. And It looks like you're very centered into relying on your managers to get the job done.
Exactly. I'm pushing more and more of that all the time. I just started telling them. Matter of fact, I have a meeting with them later today. But I've been telling them, I want you to start looking at this as your business, not my business, and you're working for me, but I want it to be your business. This is a little game you can play in your head. This is your company. You want your company of your division, of your task, your trade. You want that division to be profitable because you're in business and you want to make money. I said, now you're saying, well, any more money we make, I'm the one that's getting the money, not you. And he's supposed to be pretending he's the owner. But I tell him, no, if you make more money, I will give you more money. So keep, be the leader you feel you should need. If you need to make a decision, make it. If it's tough, so what? It's all going to reflect on your successes and failures. Be the leader, be the owner. I says, and I'm not going to fire you. Your business is going to go out of business is all, and you're going to be out of a job. It's that simple, because that's what I'm living.
Wesley, yeah, what you just said right now got me laughing. It's like, hey, I'm not going to fire you. You're just not going to make the sales. We're going to be out of business, and you'll be out of job.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if it's your company, it's your business.
It was just funny to say the same, like to build the sentence that way. It was just funny.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. It's funny.
Yeah, I understand. And then I also told him too, you guys can bring to me excuses all you want. The banks don't give a shit. The banks don't give a shit about your excuses. You can give them to me all day long. But technically, I answer to the banks. And they don't care about your fucking excuses. Excuse my language. They don't care about your excuses. So
get out of your own way, as Wesley says.
Yeah. So
get out of your own way. The bank does not care.
They don't
at all.
Well, it's the weather's bad and this and the bank's like, we don't care. We're not giving you any money. We're not. And they says, I says, we need to be powerful in the banks at all times in case there's an opportunity or something to grow, or we need money for some reason. We got to be able to go to the bank. So we have to answer to the banks. So they're not going to accept any excuses. You got to be accountable or we're done.
And this has been the weekly numbers for Wesley Rosenberg. Adjust quick, adapt often, accelerate towards what works, continue investing in trusting your people Wesley said he depends on his managers to see it through. He looks at the numbers, he gets it done. See you next time. Stay on the grind.